Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm going to call this meeting right now.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the Design Advisory Panel for May 25th, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order and just let everybody know that this meeting will be live streamed and video recorded for the public. And I'd like to just introduce one of our newest members, Jonathan Benke. He's our newest landscape architect today. And Councillor Armstrong will be filling in for Councillor Eastmere today. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda? Mm-hmm. And shall we get a motion to adopt the agenda? Kevin first, Ken second. That's great. And has everybody had a chance to review the minutes for previous meeting? Any questions on that? Okay, so I'd like to motion that we adopt the minutes from the Thursday, May 11th, 2023 meeting. We have a first Kevin and a seconder Ken. All in favor? I think I forgot the all in favor for the last part. This is my first time. Okay, so we have one application tonight, and the presentation will be on development permit application 1306 for 3201 Ross Road, and it'll be introduced by City Planner Kirsten Mays from the current planning selection. And the application will be presented by Lowe Hammond Rowe Architects. Okay.
Thank you. So this development permit application, so DP 1306, it's proposing to reconfigure the existing parking area to construct a 2-level accessory parking structure, which is to serve the existing 158-unit seniors congregate housing facility. The subject property is zoned residential corridor, so Core 1, and as designated neighborhood in the city plan. And the subject property is located on the west side of Ross Road, and Ross Street, and that's north of Knight Road. And so it's right on along Lake there. Subject area falls within development permit area 8, and that's form and character. And as such, the general design permit area design guidelines apply to the proposed development. There are several variances that are proposed as part of this particular application. The first is to reduce the setback to the front yard, and that's from 3.5 meters to 0 meters. As well, the north side yard setback from 1.5 meters to 0 meters to facilitate the proposed development, as well to reduce the landscape buffer from 1.8 meters to 1.45 meters. And that's along a portion of the front lot line at the most southeast corner of the parking structure to accommodate a parking space. Thank you, Madam Chair, Alternate Chair, and happy to take questions after the applicant's presentation.
Okay, is it the time to ask if staff have questions or if the design panel has questions to staff before the presentation, or shall that happen after?
No questions.
Presentation first.
Yeah, presentation first.
Okay. Okay. The applicant may go ahead with their presentation, and you may share your screen.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Just as a prelude to our presentation, just want to say thank you for allowing us to present this to the design panel today. Berwick Retirement Communities has been in the community since 1999. This facility has served the seniors in the community well, and as you know, they're very well connected in the community. When it was built on the onset, the parking requirement was met at the requirement of 57 parking stalls, and that was fine and dandy purely because that's the minimum requirement. But I guess as time went on, the seniors community there is more vibrant, more active, and therefore they're still driving cars and needing parking spaces. That, along with the fact that they're seeing that Ross Road is fairly busy and has no additional on-street parking. The Berwick Retirement Communities decided that it was about time to basically spend some money and put in more parking to both accommodate the residents and staff, as well as sort of help relieve Ross Road a little bit more if their staff has been parking on the street, or if family members are trying to visit, they don't need to go on Ross Road, they can park within the facility. So this proposal that we're presenting is in hope to be able to get an approval for an additional 33 parking spots. And in doing so, we're looking to build a parking structure that is largely underground. And so the visual appearance really doesn't change very much from Ross Road at all. But obviously there's a bit of the parking area that sort of protrudes out of the ground if you're looking back towards Ross Road from the facility. And so I'll let Selena Kwok from our office here present the design and the drawings right now. So we'll share the screen.
Okay. This way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, great. So as Jackson mentioned, the 158 residents, this is for the existing building and existing parking area, which is what we're looking at, and everything's kept within that footprint. So the proposal, I'm just gonna grab a second. So this. Okay, so this is the proposed site plan, as you can see, which is not too much different from existing parking area. So the entrance is the same location and ramp down. So in order to fit the extra parking, as Jackson mentioned, we've provided a structure just to the east property line. And because of the grade difference of 3 meters between Ross Road and the building entrance, we were able to tuck in a kind of under grade parking structure. So from Ross Road, the upper level of the parking is at the same grade height. So you come in and you can enter in through this area, or you can continue down, sloping into the site down to the 3 meters below, and then enter the lower level, which is on this right-hand side from there for additional parking space. And so the variance that we're requesting for the north property line, this is underground, just to try and get a couple more spaces. And then for the east variance of that 0 is this corner. And again, this is underground, so not visible from the street at all. So the areas that do protrude a little bit would be along this edge, the west edge, and then the pedestrian path, which the pedestrians can, I guess people from their car can access the building from the path to the main entrance there. So there's a little bit of the building that peeks out from there. And then this would be, you can see that from the section. You can see the section there. So that's Ross Road, bus shelter. This is the parquet structure, upper level, lower level, and then the rest of the parkade and the existing building. And then this is just a sort of a north-south section showing where the property line is. This is the path towards the lake, pedestrian path, and how our structure is indicated, that's below grade, below the driveway. And this is some of the images, existing images of the entrance, how the parking is currently with the parking spaces above, relatively above along grade, with the signage and retaining walls. So the idea is to replace that signage with another one, and then a stone retaining wall with a new bus shelter in this area, which would be above the underground parking. And then the new parking would not be much different from what you would see currently. And then this view is towards the pedestrian path, and these are existing views along there. And again, similar, it'll be screened with landscaping. And response to some of the comments from staff regarding bicycle parking spaces. At the moment, there is existing bicycle parking at the end of the ramp back towards the lakeside for staff. And then for residents, in 2015, we had done a renovation in the ground floor or main floor of the building, where we have provided scooter parking and bicycle parking for the residents. And regarding the building design of having, considering cladding for the exposed concrete, we're proposing, instead of using cladding, which is, becomes a maintenance issue, we would like to provide board form concrete along the side to add some texture and to make it a bit more friendly. So that's I'm just going to pull up these two elevations. So this is the additional elevations that Christine had requested. And this is the elevation from the parquet side, the west elevation. So this is the part that comes above ground, where it's exposed concrete and aluminum screening for security, and then a overhead garage door. And then this is the south elevation, which we will use board form concrete for this face. Okay, and then for the landscaping, let's see here. So Kara McDonald, who's our landscape architect, was not available to join today. So we're just going to give a brief summary of the landscape design. So for along Ross Road, there's an existing 8 trees along this edge, which, because of the proposed underground parquet, will need to be removed and will be replaced with these 7 trees noted, which has limitations because of the, I guess, the structure of the concrete. So they're a little bit smaller. And then for the north end, there's a large Douglas fir tree that we will try to retain, and that will have to be confirmed by arborists. And then 5 additional magnolia trees will be planted to meet the North Nanaimo character area requirement of 50% evergreen tree species. And then 2 maple trees in the parking islands, and throughout the ground cover. So we've been trying to add as much green as possible. So this will be evergreen ground cover and low shrubs for where there is vehicle overhang. So with the new landscape plan, and then all the parking spaces will be pervious pavers. So we'll be able to reduce the impermeable surface by 20% with our new landscape plan. And I think that's pretty much it for us. Anything you wanted to add, Jackson?
I think she has some creeping vines on the west edge of the new parkade.
Yes.
So that'll come down that wall by the pathway. That will help sort of provide some greenery and some animation to that face instead of just concrete. So that's.
Does that preclude your presentation?
Yes, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you.
You can stop sharing your screen in time. And at this time, I'll just ask if staff have any questions, or sorry, if the panel has any questions for staff. before we get comments? No. Oh, yes, we have Councillor Armstrong.
We're good? Yeah, I have a couple questions. When I was looking at that you're doing 52% small car spots, is there a rationale for that when most seniors drive big cars and now cars are actually 20 to 30% bigger, wider than they used to be?
The original requirement for parking we've met in terms of how many large cars we have. Now the small cars are probably basically because that's what we need to be able to do to increase the amount of parking on site, and it's a combination of staff and residents. And yeah, I can't speak for the residents and what size cars they drive. I'm hoping that we're heading towards more smaller cars with EV chargers and so on and so forth. And so in this proposal, there's also going to be increasing or providing some EV chargers, which they don't currently have either. So.
And also in addition, some of the spots that are labeled as small actually has the length of a regular size parking, but because of the width, we just couldn't accommodate. So they're not entirely small, I guess, but because they're not the regular spots, we had to designate them as small.
They're a bit of a hybrid.
No, I understand that. That's just, it's one of my beefs because I've policed for many years and we dealt with parking issues continually because of stuff like this. So I'm actually a car person and like the larger spots. And my second question is, will you be making more accessible parking because many of the people there are between wheelchairs and walkers and stuff, and would that be moved to the front of the building or would that be in the underground?
In our last renovations, we did move all the accessible parking to the front and closest to the front entrance.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, we'll just get into comments. So maybe we can start with Kevin. Do you mind?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair, and thanks for the presentation. I know this site very well. I drive by and walk by this site all the time, and I know the concerns there is for parking and the burden it has on the street parking, especially with all the apartment buildings around, and also staff. I see staff trying to get parking, and it's obviously something that I feel is going to be a welcome addition to this site. I like the project. I really don't have any issues, major issues. My only concerns are there really isn't a pedestrian connection through the parking area and from Ross Road as well. So I'd like to hear your comments on that.
So is the western?
Yeah, do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, we'll just quickly share the screen again. But on the western edge, there's an existing pedestrian path that comes off of Ross Road. That's going to be maintained, and we're actually going to enhance it a little bit more after the parking area is built. So that's existing. There's also a right-of-way on the eastern side that's a pedestrian walkway down that provides access down to the waterfront, and that also provides a pedestrian path down through the park, adjacent to the parking area without having to go into the parking area.
So that's that one.
Okay, and yeah, I could see that one. And then, what about a pedestrian link to the underground portion? There's the stairs that appear to go down to the underground parking area, I guess, on the northern part of the site.
There's access to there, and there's two.
Yeah, that's more for that's an exit more than anything else on the eastern side. The overhead garage door area that provides the access right there in that through that door, the pedestrian access.
There's two points.
So they're separated from the actual entry and the pedestrian.
Yeah, but it doesn't appear to be any sort of, I guess, textural change or anything in the asphalt or the concrete that you're going to be putting on there. Is that correct?
I think we could probably at the beginning or at the entry to the parkade there, we could probably do some visual changes to show that that's a pedestrian walkway.
Yeah, I think something there from the building, and I can't remember where the main direction is, probably from that, yeah, that location.
That's the entrance. Yeah.
If there's a way to provide some sort of textural change in the surface material, provide a link to that, would be great. What about site lighting? Are you doing any changes to the site lighting program?
We're probably adding some site lighting to the parking area. You know, also in making sure that we're not lighting up the skies. It'll be all down lighting as well, but it'll be providing more lighting to be able to provide visual access to the parking area.
So you're going to be going, excuse me, you're going to be doing full scale street style lighting?
There are pole
Yes.
lighting right now, and
Yeah.
probably be adding some more pole lighting to be able to properly light this parking area.
Okay. Okay. That's all I have. I support the variances. I think it's a well overdue project for this this site, and I think what you've designed in the landscape concept as well, I have no issues whatsoever. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Next, should we have our newest member, Jonathan?
Hello, thank you for the presentation. Yeah, overall, it looks like a good project. Just a few comments. And yeah, thanks for clarifying the bicycle parking that's existing there. But just, I guess, note that like if there's any capacity issues with the existing parking, this would be a good opportunity to add some more. Yeah, the comment about the cladding the exposed concrete wall, I think the board formed concrete is a good alternative to that. Yeah, so I think that'll solve that challenge. I'm also thinking about the west elevation of the parking structure. There's the like aluminum fencing and the concrete of the parking structure facing the parking stalls. So yeah, maybe I guess the parking stalls there overhang the planting area a bit. I think that's my understanding. So it looks like the plant material that was selected there is pretty low, so hopefully there won't be a conflict there. But I'm thinking that maybe some vine species could be incorporated, could potentially climb up the fencing there just to get a bit more height in the planting there without interfering with
the... We're talking about that with the client today.
Okay. And yeah, and also I'm wondering if that planting strip there it might be a bit shady, so just be wary of the plant material there, the heaths, just because like with the parking structure on one side and cars overhanging on the other side, just be wary of the shade that might be on the planting there.
Okay.
And just a question, is the aluminum guardrail, is that painted black?
That would be our first thought. We've just completed a similar sort of structure at 10 Buttertubs for their parkade, and it seems to fit in fairly well. So that's our initial thought, is to paint it black.
Yeah, I agree. Black will blend in a bit better. Yeah. I'm curious about the planting palette, species palette along Ross Road. Was it sort of based around the existing planting that's there right now, or to sort of match something similar to that?
I think it was to match the existing palette. Just grabbing the notes.
Yeah, the current palette there is fairly overgrown as well. So I think it's trying to refresh it a bit more and probably give it a chance to grow back in time. So I think her notion is to try to replace that palette and be similar.
Okay.
I don't know if you know the history of Berwick, but they're very well known for their landscaping around all their facilities. We just completed one in Parksville that's just getting into landscape, and it's just fantastic. And with the limited space we have on this site, they're going to try to do the same thing. More plants, the better. Yeah, they're going to try to do a really good job at renewing and refreshing the landscaping across there.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. And then there was a city comment about pedestrian lighting along that exposed concrete wall along the pedestrian pathway. Just wondering if you've addressed that. That
may not be on the drawings, but that would definitely be on the table for providing pedestrian lighting down that pathway.
Okay.
So it's going to be coming from the parking area. It's going to be residents coming up and down that path as well. So.
Okay. And yeah, I support the variances, the front yard and side yard setbacks, since the new accessory building the top roof is kind of at grade. Those variances make sense. It's not too intrusive, and there's still a good landscape buffer there. The landscape buffer reduction at the southeast corner, yeah, it's only a foot shorter than you're required, and I think, which is fine. I think that maybe at the southeast corner there's like a little rectangle of the kinnikinick planting, and maybe since there's the shrub area gets a bit narrow next to that, maybe that little rectangle of kinnikinick could just be more of the other shrubs, just to avoid that little skinny bit that's different. That's my only thought there. But yeah, that's all my comments. Overall, it looks pretty good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. And we'll go to Ken.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I'd just like to say I don't have many comments, and I certainly support the recommendations, and I don't have much to add to the other two members of the DAP and their comments. I'd just like to say that I think it was commendable of the organization to add this amount of parking to their lot and make it more convenient for their staff and clients and visitors. So I think all in all, I think it's a good project, and certainly I approve it along with all the variances. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ken. And last but not least, Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I'll defer to our specialists in the room. They have the expertise on that. I'm very happy to see the extra parking. I've been there numerous times. I think it's really important because many of our seniors, that's their last sense of independence is their car. So it's not going to go away as much as some people want it to. They're still going to keep driving. So I'm really appreciative of them spending the money, and also we'll free up the parking, as was stated by Kevin, in the neighboring areas as well. So just want to thank you very much, and thank you to the panel, and welcome, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. And yeah, for me, I would like to just agree with all of staff's comments so far, or to date. And yeah, I totally am on board with just highlighting that pedestrian connection through from the new parking areas, and adding some lighting I think is really important. As well as I was thinking in terms of the lighting, having the new and I'm sure this is part of the plan, but just having the new address and advertising sign at the front be included in the lighting plan, as well as integrated into the bus stop area if people are walking along the street at night. feel like that will be a nice safe, to create a nice safer space for the folks to walk along Ross Road to catch the bus, and highlight the address for visitors. It just looks kind of a little bit small. I don't know if it's just, I can't tell the scale very well, but is the sign larger or smaller than the previous one?
It's larger, actually.
It is larger. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's at least, it's like 4 feet. Yeah, it seems small in that scale, but it's actually like 4 feet by, 3 feet high. Like it's quite, it'll be substantial. Yeah.
Okay.
And normally we do light that up, so it will be included in that.
Yeah. Okay, great. And it's awesome that you'll be adding more biking stalls and EV charging stations. That's great. I think that was mostly everything that I had. So thank you very much for the presentation, and looking forward to everyone finding solutions to their parking problems on Ross Road.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. As far as comments and recommendations go, did we want to have any specific recommendations? Does anybody have any specific recommendations? Kevin? Is it the textural change?
Yeah, the textural change in the surface to provide a pathway to the underground parking from the entrance, from I guess from the entry of the building to the entry to the underground parking.
Sure.
Okay.
To the building. Okay. So that's a recommendation. And any other recommendations or with just comments? Jonathan, you had a couple for contemplating the vinery on the aluminum fencing. Oh, you just muted there, sorry.
Yeah, on the west elevation there.
Okay. So we'll put that as a recommendation as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then also was there comments on the lighting? That's already going to be contemplated, right? That was just a comment. Okay, so we have 2 recommendations. Okay, so we'll have recommendation number 1 to contemplate consider textural changes to the surface and the pathway to the underground parking, and to meet with the building, and to contemplate vines on the west elevation of the parking stall. And there was no concern for the variances. There was all support. Ken, you had, okay, Ken's also on board. So that being said, I'll make a motion to accept the application as presented with these 2 recommendations and support for the variances.
Yep.
Okay, Ken first. Do we have a seconder? Kevin, seconder. And that's great.
Yes,
all in favor? All in favor. Great, so I guess we could, we don't have any other business on the agenda, no?
Nope.
And I can call to adjourn the meeting. I could have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Kevin, and a seconder.